Okay, welcome everybody to VISPRO. We are kicking off the grand final right here and right now as we are going to be bringing you guys the top two teams from the Spring VISPRO tournament. It's just wrapping up here today. This is the first split. Second split is going to be starting next week, everyone. Don't forget, but we're going to be ending split one here on a high note. This is going to be by far the most anticipated match, competitive match here at the end of spring during this off season for the main Vainglory competition. And, you know, if you've been watching the competitive scene, you may have heard of a team called Nova Esports. They have entered Vainglory picking up Rage Pingers, and they have come in and made a huge splash. And we are excited to get into that match pretty soon here. And look at how they're going to go up against who arguably has been the most dominant, consistent team here over the last year and a half. I'm joined by Denominate here as we're going to be casting these matches today. How are you tonight?
I'm doing A-okay. How are you doing today, Dragonborn?
I am doing fantastic. We are just moments away from getting into this matchup. It's going to be intense. It's so much on the line. Obviously, first place is actually double the prize money going into this. So if you win first place, you know, there's a little bit of advantage there. But there's also the pride factor. We've had a lot of incredible teams come away dominating and winning the VISPRO, and it's definitely a badge of honor. And it's no different here this week, here today. Let's talk a little bit about it as we get into this matchup. Team Solo Mid versus Nova Esports. Here are the rosters for you. And as you guys can see, this is, you know, a little bit different than you might have expected from Team Solo Mid. Evol has been substituting in place of Flash X. Flash X been on vacation. And Nova Esports, though, it is the full strength here. So this is their very best. It's going up against the Team Solo Mid, which I would argue with Evol, Denominate have looked really, really good. They definitely have not looked like they've taken a step back without Flash X.
Absolutely, and you know, we discussed a couple times earlier this week on how Flash and Evol just have such a similar play style that it works really well for TSM. So you know, Nova on the other hand, we don't have as much footage on, but they have definitely shown us that they can play with the big dogs. You know, Cloud9 took TSM down and Nova brought down C9. So, you know, is this the new hot team to watch?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to find out. But this is the grand finals, and this is the best stage to do that in. And, you know, going into the Vainglory 8, these two teams, you know, one coming off of maybe a somewhat disappointing season and didn't get that first, even second place in the live finals just because of how their bracket turned out. And they want to definitely show everyone, no, we're still in this. And then you have Nova, who's, you know, brand new. They're coming right hot off of going into the VG8. So they're definitely feeling really motivated about the end of their season. So definitely a little bit of mindset difference between these two teams. But, you know, no doubt when we talk about the talent here, a lot of potential from Nova. And I really think the focus here from Team Solo Mid is, can they contain it? Can they draft appropriately? One of the stories from last night was just that the issues of teams not knowing Nova well enough to draft against them to keep them off of what arguably is some of their better drafts.
Absolutely, and that goes back into saying that we just don't have the same footage of Nova. Even though we have their Challenger Series games, we have just countless games of Team Solo Mid that we can sit here and watch. So, you know, that's in my opinion, that is a huge advantage that Nova can bring to the table here.
Absolutely, it really is. All right, looks like we're ready to get into the draft here in just a few seconds as the team's getting in queue. We want to get hot right into this. This is a best of 5, everybody. So what that means is 5 games of matches might potentially be played, and that is going to definitely take a lot of energy and stamina for both these teams. You know, this is definitely no easy match here. So it looks like they're ready to get in. We're into the draft as we start here. Game number 1 between Team Solo Mid and Nova Esports. Now, let's talk a little bit. We see Grumpjaw and the healers, a lot of priority around them, but Grumpjaw almost always getting banned. What do you expect to see specifically from Team Solo Mid as we get into this first ban?
Well, I think if Team Solo Mid was watching the games yesterday, I think they really got to be careful with the comfort level that Truth and Delphi have on some of these heroes. You know, the performance on the Kestrel and the Samuel yesterday were pretty devastating against a top-tier team. You know, as we were discussing, Cloud9 took home first place in the Unified Finals, and, you know, Nova just made it look like an easy Game 3. So, I mean, you really got to respect their comfort level on some of these heroes.
And I do apologize, everybody. A draft reset
The draft
had
begins.
to come through. I do apologize for that, but we got it reset, so we're back here, and we are going to get into this. So sometimes disconnections do happen on our draft client. We understand. We're into it, and Glaive comes right off. Now, we did see Cloud9 take Glaive off the draft table here a couple times against different teams, and one time against Nova. You know, what does this really do? How does this flex them? How does this really flex Nova into a bad spot? Because they seem to be able to work fine without Glaive.
I don't really know if it's as much of Team Solo Mid, you know, trying to get the pick away from Nova per se, as much as maybe Best Chuck just doesn't want to go into that kind of heavy gank potential just for his own comfort. We do see the Lyra, which is a very, very strong pick, get picked up early by TSM, and Lance is the follow-up, which we saw Starboy do very well on the other day.
Yeah, and you know, I actually really like this. Lyra's received multiple nerfs throughout her life so far in the game, and what you're seeing here is, you know, she's a little bit more balanced. It's not so strongly picked. You don't see it banned, right? For instance, teams feel like, all right, Lyra's strong, but we can play into it. The Baron ban, I think, was fantastic. It does, you know, take off a very strong late game hero, allows Nova to play the early game, which they seem to have shown they can do very, very well.
Right, absolutely. And I guess my only real concern with, you know, taking Baron off the table this early is they have the next pick. So to me, you know, they're giving TSM a good opportunity here to pick up a Vox uncontested.
And I really like
but they pick it up instead. So
yeah, the Vox is a great pick, and then you don't have the Baron, who gives Vox a lot of trouble. And now you may see a Gwen in this case, because we have seen Gwen played into Vox with some success. But the other thing that Team Solo Mid has to be worried about is that
definitely expect to see a Gwen or a Ringo out of Team Solo Mid here.
No, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. But they have to look at the jungle. I'm curious to see if Von C will take the Samuel just to keep it away from Nova Esports. Instead, going with the Kestrel, really do like this composition here from Team Solo Mid. It's very, very strong. And I'm curious to see how Nova will respond. Now you're going up against this poke. I feel like it definitely is going to require a different combination here. There's a lot of range on that Kestrel, and Lyra is going to help that team move very aggressively into position. You almost need something to kind of counter that aggression, that push. They do go with the Samuel here again. Now, this is what we saw from them last night.
Absolutely, and Delphi has definitely showed that he is a master on this hero. His positioning yesterday was absolutely beautiful, and I really hope that he can bring that same gameplay to, you know, the game that we have ahead of us.
I absolutely do as well, and I'm confident that he can. It looks like we're getting ready into this game, ready to get started. So a few comments that, you know, I have just looking at the draft is that, you know, obviously not surprised to see Grumpjaw taken off, but like you said, that Baron, it definitely allows Nova to say, hey, this is how we think this is where we want to draft. And the Baron clearly can be problematic when you've got some squishies like a Vox and a Samuel in the back line, because Baron actually has that ability to get to the back line very easily.
Yeah, absolutely he does. You know, the jump jets allow him to position himself around the fight and get that extra attack off. So, you know, it is a good thing to take off the table, especially if you want this Vox. However, we do see a lot of range advantage coming out of the side of Team Solo Mid with this Crystal Kestrel, the Gwen, who we already know does pretty well into Vox in general, and then the Lyra is going to provide a lot of poke here in the early game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of poke from both teams out, and I think that the Samuel at level 2 might have a small advantage, but I think that Kestrel late game definitely has the strongest. It looks like we're into the game number 1. It is going to be a pretty exciting matchup so far here as we get into it. And of course, it is Denominate and myself here. Got to get those names put in. There we go. There we go. All right. So into this game we go. Let's talk a little bit about what we see so far. Early game, it actually looks like Team Solo Mid being a little bit more passive, and we've seen them be passive in a lot of these cases, which is different from what we see like out of Cloud9, who typically want to be aggressive.
Yeah, you know, we definitely see Team Solo Mid, you know, do this rotation a lot where Von C and Best Chuck share their back farms. That's a, you know, strategy we're seeing from a lot of these top teams, and, you know, we're seeing it out of Nova too. And as far as the builds so far, we see Truth and Best Chuck have both picked up some early armor and shield. So obviously the Vox is able to get a lot of resonance bounces down, which is why Best Chuck has picked up this shield, and Truth has obviously picked up the armor since the powerful burst attacks that come out of Gwen throughout all parts of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for the quick pause there as we get back into this game here. Just a small quick correction. All right, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Best Chuck has taken a bit of damage here, but we see Evil up here in the lane. I'm sure Best Chuck is going to be healing up here pretty shortly. Not really sure what that sigil was to accomplish, but he'll have it back up here again in just a second, and Best Chuck's going to be back up to full health in no time.
Yeah, pretty even match so far. I like how these two teams, a lot of respect coming out of it. You may not have seen this before in teams going into Nova. They sometimes maybe were a little overconfident against them, but Nova's showing that they are deserving of this. And one thing that actually we need to mention is Starboy's not playing on this roster. It is Eddie L as support. So because Starboy isn't available today, this might mean, both teams not playing with their star roamer, but, it evens itself out.
Absolutely it does, and I do really want to give the edge to TSM. I really like Evol's play style, especially when he gets on this Lyra. He plays it really well, and I feel like TSM should win this game, but I don't want to count Nova out either.
Absolutely. All right. Oh man, so Von C, we've taken a look so far, and it's really pretty strong in favor of him. This Kestrel leading CS. And in the lane, it's pretty even. So this is going to result, even though it's even in gold, the fact that Von C is ahead means his itemization is going to start getting very strong. You don't see him buying items just yet, as he does do a good job. Actually, prioritizes stealing the camp before buying an item. I think that's really smart.
Absolutely, and we know how fast this Kestrel is able to clear jungle once she gets a couple crystal bits. So I think once Von C shops, we're going to see a lot more aggression. As these jungle rotations get shorter, that's going to allow him to have more time to rotate up to the lane and really put the pressure down on Truth, who it appears is going for a poison shiv first, obviously going against this Lyra. Best Chuck narrowly escaping there.
Yeah, and he really needed to get out of there. That was a tough position considering a level 4 Samuel into that level 3 Gwen is going to be very much a strong advantage for the side of Nova Esports. Looking up in the lane, Truth sitting at 34 CS, so he's just a smidgen above Best Chuck, but he's holding his own, which is really impressive. Best Chuck taking a lot of damage. That drifting darkness coming out so early in the game here from Samuel is very hard for teams to deal with. And it really doesn't become that much easier, just a tad easier. It still is going to be doing a lot of damage this entire match. So just something to keep in mind is how good Lone Delphi is on this Samuel pick. Gave Cloud9 a real hard time. Von C going to go back, finally able to shop, and it's not enough to pick up a tier 3 item, but look at that, man. Instead going for a bunch of tier 1s. This is something a little bit unconventional that we see out of these junglers, specifically the crystal junglers. They tend to prioritize that first tier 3 item.
We can see this come out of Kestrel because of her dependency on energy. So we see that he has picked up these two tier 1 energies. So the ratios that Kestrel has are pretty high. So she doesn't really need a whole lot of crystal power to start doing a whole lot of damage, as much as she needs the energy to upkeep that damage throughout these fights. So it makes sense to me. I assume the next time he shop, he will pick up that Shatter Glass. He already has 1,000 gold in his pocket, so I do expect that to be the first tier 3 item we see. And a good snipe coming out of Von C, picking up some damage on Ediel.
Nice one shot, one kill. You see Drifting Darkness is going to be coming back up in a few seconds. It's not really something that can be chased here by Team Solo mid. Truth going to keep coming, harassing in the lane. Does a good job to get away from a Glimmer shot. Dodges the second. But he's not going to be taking too much damage, which is great. We are seeing Team Solo pushes up into this first turret. They're looking to do some damage. Going to have to back off here. Truth finally rejoins with his team. And this is a nice back and forth here in the lane. A lot of heavy rotation moving up to the lane here by both teams. Von C, though, is ultimately forced to consider going back down. He does. Nice job by placing that active camo in case he doesn't want to lose out on this healer tree camp. But all 3 members of of Nova here, but he's going to get it anyways. Glimmer Shot with the steal away from Nova, and with that healer, very dangerous to engage at Kestrel as she's got the heal, but look at that. Here comes the Drifting Darkness. So much damage. The root misses, but they're still able to land it. Truth going very low. First kill almost going. There it goes down. Team Solo Mid has lost VISPRO and A, and Von C looking to try to pick up the pieces. One shot, one kill misses, but Lone Delphi, he has to get out of there because of that Treant, that Crystal Miner in the jungle on the side of Team Solo Mid doing a lot of work.
Absolutely, and that was a really good fight out of Nova Esports there. The positioning again, you know, we discussed this the other day out of Delphi. The positioning on this Samuel just really shows that he knows this hero. He was able to kite around the fight and able to stay mostly away from Gwen, who's going to be his primary damage source. So, you know, Delphi is really impressing me in this series so far.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something we saw when he played Samuel in versus Cloud9. It's not necessarily that surprising. He's just got the all-around mechanics. Truth of Light as well. I love Truth. Truth has definitely been very consistent with building this tension bow on the Vox, along with, and he only builds the Shiver, Poison Shiv, I mean, when you've got a healer like Lyra or Adagio. So he's definitely, you know, had a consistent type of strategy here when he plays Vox. A little bit different than what we've seen other players play Vox in past updates, but definitely one that has come into popularity here. VISPRO at 8 picks up a very early infusion.
Something we do see teams do, not usually a level 6 infusion. A good snipe comes out on Truth here, getting quite a hefty bit of damage down. And we do actually see a Frostburn come first out of Von C as opposed to the Shatterglass, which, I mean, I guess we should know that Von C is pretty known for doing that.
Oh my goodness, Von C drops as VISPRO at A and Evolve are trying to get out of here. And this infusion, it has not shown any effectiveness so far as they look to push down on this turret. There's this stun. Oh no, stun lands on the Edial. Not the target he wanted, but he does get the impale. They look to try to poke from a distance. They have to disengage as the turret has retargeted. Oh, Truth. This is super dangerous. He's very low. Fountain comes out as he's going to be able to stay in the thick of it. And instead focuses just clearing the wave here. They're not going to be able to get the turret this rotation. Von C is coming back. But the fact that they have continued to be able to poke and harass as VISPRO and A has to get out underneath from his turret because he's going very low. Von C drops again. And just like that, the turret is done. Nova Esports, they are not messing around.
Absolutely not, and I think they did a very great job in that last fight juggling the turret aggro. You know, we see all of them pretty low on health with the exception of, you know, Truth has gained a little bit back from clearing the wave with his poison shift. Good snipe comes out, almost killing the Lance. But that's first turret for Nova, and they're really showing that they're here to win this game and that they can compete with these top tier teams.
Yeah, and there's no Starboy, no problem, at least in the first 9 minutes of game 1 of this best of 5. And with that turret, you're now starting to see a substantial gold lead going in favor of Nova Esports. Up until, like, just, you know, before we saw those kills in the turret, it was very close still. Team Solo Mid obviously know how to deal with farming from behind when they, you know, necessarily don't have the same kind of push ability. When maybe they're losing jungle a little bit. They're still able to stay in the farm, but now Nova, they've cleared out that first turret. They're able to keep pushing farther and farther near the front of the lane. Bonsi gonna have to just sneak away from the back. He really has to be careful. He's not strong enough just yet. He's kind of in line with some of the leveling from Nova, but you know, you look at VISPRO today, just a tad behind Truth. So interestingly enough, Truth has found a way to out-level even his jungler Samuel. So he's definitely been given from his team the ability to just kind of focus on the lane by himself. Solo laning will help a lot. VISPRO and 8, 48 CS. Look at the, oh sorry, 97 CS. Whoops. Look at the difference though. I mean, it is a 10 CS lead going over to Truth, and this is a nice lead going up against one of the best laners in the world, arguably, and a gold miner.
Absolutely it is, and you know, with this gold mine, we really just extend Nova's lead here, and you know, that's really great for them that they're winning this early game because I think they just have a better scaling composition than Team Solo Mid. So, you know, I really expected Team Solo Mid to be winning a little heavier in the early game, and that just hasn't happened. You know, we see 2,200, 2,300 gold in Truth's pocket. He's about to come down and very likely pick up a Sorrow Blade here.
I mean, it's kind of incredible to think that this team, Innova, is giving the best teams a little bit of a run for their money and are basically saying, hey, don't sleep on us. You've got to do your homework, as lack of it may result in some issues. But hey, we saw Team Solo Mid struggle a little bit early with Tempo Storm, their early games, and they came back and won their matches 2-0. So, you know, anything is possible as Truth takes a few glimmer shots and is dropped very low. Got to be careful. Team Solo Mid, they know at full health that they, you know, have a slight edge in the health bar so far. They got to be careful not to get caught out. Looking to force Ediel down a little bit. One shot, one kill. Does land on Ediel. He's taking a beating so far. But no positioning from Team Solo Mid to suggest they're going to be able to engage yet. They actually are looking to just avoid these team fights so far.
Yeah, you know, against this composition that Nova has, it's really difficult for the Crystal Kestrel to fight forward. So yes, they got a lot of damage down on Truth and Eddie, but the whole
oh, we might have lost Day there for a quick
whole idea
second.
so you can get these active camos down, and you know that's why we don't really get to see a whole lot of follow up out of TSM right now. Is you have to really win the fight to continue chasing with the Crystal Kestrel.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of exciting, Dave, because we did see Samuel kind of fall out of favor in the meta. I mean, he was used, he was notable, but he wasn't considered a priority pick. And we've actually seen Lone Delphi, if he wins this game, will be 100% on this Samuel over the last 3 games between 2 of the best teams in the world. We do look, oh, look at that. Look at those pokes coming in. He's in range. Oh, and Von C can't get away. It's just too much damage. The stun comes up, but lands on Ediel again. He's going to be able to get into position there. Does not use the... Oh, yeah, he did just use the fountain now to try to get out, but is dropped. Look at that portal use. Delphi just trying to poke away here, continuing right from the below this lane. Wow, look at... This is very gutsy by both Lone Delphi and Truth. They need to probably consider getting out of here now, as instead... Oh, no, they still want this turret.
Yeah, they stay insecure, and this kind... And Truth does go in and get the kill, but the snipe comes out of Von C to secure the kill back on Truth, so 1-for-1 trade there.
Oh, that was very, very, very close to just getting out alive, but that one-shot, one-kill from Von C. Von C definitely keeping an eye on his teammates here on this Kestrel. It's the one advantage Kestrel will have later and later in the game, especially as a Crystal Kestrel is. You know, she'll be able to be invisible, move around the map, but there's a lot of vision right now. They've been unable to control the jungle, especially in the midsection. So, you know, Von C right now forced to clear out some vision, waste a little bit of time because he's not able to move freely in the jungle yet, thanks to Ediel just placing a lot of vision and being able to help control that jungle for the majority of this game.
Yeah, and we definitely see a lot of prioritization on the vision here out of Eddie. You know, we have a contraption, and we have a flare gun, and we have 5 flares on top of that. So they really want to make sure that Von C doesn't have free roam to, you know, dance around these fights and poke and go invisible and weave in and out like a Crystal Kestrel normally would.
Nice placement. They do take the one shot, but save the gold miner from being stolen. Definitely nice heads up, you know, when you go against Crystal Kestrel like that, looking to move in. Flare popped. Vision is secured, but unfortunately, like you said, Von C not able to position far enough forward. It's too risky, and he knows it. And so because he has to play conservatively, he's forced in, you know, from just taking very, very long distance shots here. Trying to now get... Oh, stolen by Ediel. Von C denied that that healer treant. And this has just been a real struggle here. We saw him early in CS Farm really leading, and he still leads Lone Delphi. But the little things really do count. One shot, one kill is going to miss there, as I think they were aiming for the wrong spot. But look at this engage coming out of Nova. We are going to see a 1-for-1 trade, but they're looking to try to get onto Von C. Oh no, it looks like it's just going to be a support versus late. Oh, Delphi looking to reposition, does get that Oblivion. Nailed it. Now he's going to reposition here, trying to get Evol, as they both are going to teleport back through the portal here. Ediel gets through. And Evol just looking to kind of stall out. He just needs 7 more seconds. There's a nice skipping wall again. Delphi looking to try to maybe... Oh, there. He's found him. And the days are numbered here for Evol. It is not going to be the ace, though. So good job by him. Able to deny Nova Esports that very critical ace.
Absolutely. And It just goes to show how well Evil knows this hero. You know, he was able to bait the Samuel around, constantly running back and forth, making him choose which way to go, and it was just enough time to get Best Chuck back up, because an ace would have been very detrimental there for TSM.
TSM knows that they're taking the Kraken. They instead choose to farm. A really smart play by Team Solomid to not try to force an unneeded contested Kraken. They likely wouldn't have secured. So instead, they allow Nova Esports. Nova Esports pushing down the lane. It's 16 minutes. They have a shot to win this as they have complete control. Look at the vision control is in their favor. They've got Kraken. They've got the gold lead. Now just up to Team Solomid if they can find something. Hoping something falls their way. As, oh, look at this. Avoiding that active camo. Nice vision control. One shot, one kill. It's going to miss. There's a few seconds until that's up. Missed glimmer shot as well. So far, Von C's not been able to land. Here comes all the damage. Here comes Nova. They're looking to chase, forcing Team Solomid into the Sanctuary. Oh, Evil blocks out those Malice and Verdicts, saving Von C's life there. And they live to fight another day. But, you know, look at this. They're still pretty full health as well as Team Solomid looks for the engage. But nice disengaged Truth repositions. Gets out of danger. Now it's going to be an Oblivion falling onto Team Solomid. Can they get secure the kill? They do. And Von C, in a just basically disparagingly, throws out the one-shot, one-kill, knowing there's not much else he can do. Does look to try to get... Nope, not going to be able to get the kill on Edial. And game number 1 going to Nova Esports. They've done it again to nominate. This is unbelievable.
And what a great feeling it's got to be for Nova to pick up the first game win against TSM here after taking out Cloud9 yesterday. This is going to be a great confidence booster for them going into game 2.
Absolutely. This is definitely something that I think most people watching as we got into the week number 2 were not anticipating. Not at all. I mean, we knew Nova was strong, but I don't think we predicted this kind of strength, consistency, even while switching their supports as well. So a lot of impressive play coming out of here. Nova, the team to watch. But this is the best of 5. And as we get later into the series, stamina is going to become a bigger deal. Can Nova withstand Team Solomid?
It really, to me, falls back down to what I was talking about yesterday is, does Nova have the endurance to go into multiple games? They showed ACS yesterday that they could go into game 3 against C9 and make it easy, but today's best of 5, that's a lot of vainglory to play. And, TSM is very good at adapting as well. So if, maybe TSM can pick something out here where, they see the strategy that Nova has and they might be able to pull together a counter for it. I don't particularly think Samuel is one of the strongest heroes in the meta right now, but we're talking about Lone Delphi's Samuel. It's not always about the hero as much as sometimes it's about who's playing the hero. And, Delphi just, he knows how to play Samuel. So that's definitely something that TSM is going to have to look at in this, upcoming draft.
It absolutely is. We're going to take a quick break, everybody, as we get ready for game number 2, but we'll be right back getting into this as Nova Esports looks to come in here hot after a victory over Cloud9 to try to secure their very first VISPRO VISPRO finals in just a few moments. We'll be right back after this break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey everybody, we are back and we are getting ready for the next matchup. This one's definitely going to be very critical because going up 2 games in a best of 5 is hard to come out of, no matter who you are. When you go down 2 games, you just need to lose 1 more game in the next 3 and you're knocked out. So can Nova do it? This one's really where Team Solomid is going to be looking to come in here and probably stop this run. And let's see if they do it with the Samuel ban. We've talked about it a little bit. Samuel has come in here and it's been very dominant for the side of Nova Esports. Teams have allowed them to play it. There's been really no challenge. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, Cloud9 looking back maybe would say, all right, Samuel needs to be prioritized in this draft. But then when you prioritize Samuel, you leave open so many more. And now you see Nova's on A side, so they get that first pick, first ban. This might be the place where, you know, Samuel maybe isn't even a good pick anyways, right?
Samuel definitely wouldn't be a good first pick out of Nova. It just leaves too much opportunity for a counter to be picked by Team Solo Mid. We know Von C has a very large hero pool that he can play very efficiently. So, you know, if it makes it through the draft to, you know, maybe Nova's last pick, I could see a Samuel being picked up because then there's only one more hero that can be picked by TSM in order to counter the Samuel. But I don't think it's going to make it that far. After the showing that we had yesterday and today of Delphi on the Samuel, I think TSM has to ban it.
We're going to have to wait and see. It's different on A side because it forces Nova to pick Samuel on A side, and it gives Team Solo Mid one last pick to counter it, right? So they get a slight edge in that regards, but we'll just have to wait and see as we get into this draft really what they do. I really expect to see right out the gate, Team Solo Mid's going to make their very first ban statement here off of the first ban from Nova. So how that plays out right off the bat, I think will give us an indication if they're going to instead try to counter the ban, try to counter Samuel, or if they're going to instead try to just, you know, play into it and deal with it. All right. I think we're ready to start this draft, so we're going to get into game number 2.
The draft begins.
Team Solo Mid and Nova Esports. Nova switches over here to A side, contemplating their very first ban. And we've seen Glaive and Grumpjaw. It's possible Nova will choose to just ban the Grumpjaw here because you typically don't see people first pick Grumpjaw. And yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. Team Solo Mid now forced to decide between banning a support like Lyra and Lance or looking to maybe take that Samuel off the board right away.
Yeah, and again, I would really like to see Team Solo Mid
is the Lance
ban phase. There's a very limited amount once you have 2 of your heroes picked that you can run into a Samuel. You know, there's not too many heroes that individually will counter Samuel going into the late game. You know, yes, you can pick up a Kashka or a Taka and, you know, really pressure him in the early game. But if you've already have your roamer picked and you already have this Lance band away, who's typically, you know, one of the better heroes into Samuel anyway, there's not a whole lot you can do with one hero to counter Samuel.
Now, it'd be interesting to see if Team Solo Mid chooses they pick up the Lyra. I was going to say they might pick up the Finn. Evil's Finn, very strong, and then they would just ban the Lyra probably, but, you know, that puts them in a bad spot, so instead they do choose the Glaive. Now, we could still see Finn come up here as, you know, that Adagio, that could be flexing to the lane. Easily.
We absolutely could, and you know we do see this Glaive ban coming out of Team Solo Mid again. I haven't really seen anybody on Nova play Glaive to a, you know, incredibly exciting amount.
I agree with you.
So
it's an interesting decision.
I think it's just something that maybe Chuck doesn't want to have to worry about. There's a lot of CC that a Crystal Glaive can bring in the late game, and we see the Taka ban who we were discussing is one of these counters for Samuel. So
I think Team Solo Mid picks Samuel here. I think you're almost forced to make the decision to put Bonsi on Samuel. You've taken out Lance, you've taken out Grumpjaw Glaive, and you've taken out Taka. Samuel, if you don't take this on A side, you've given Nova Esports a very, very strong position.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to fall into how much comfort does Von C have on Samuel. We know he has a very large hero pool, and we have seen him play Samuel in the past, but it's been a while. Where does his comfort level fall now? So I don't expect him to pick it up, but he does. So
you have to. You have to. That spot. They made it perfect Samuel. So the question is, did Nova bait them into picking Samuel?
It's very well possible, and it was obviously a tough choice for them. Do they want to pick Samuel here because they burned through almost 40 seconds of bonus time just to pick this one pick?
Pretty untypical and atypical of Team Solo Mid to burn that much time on that second pick. We've seen sometimes they burn it a little bit on the last pick, but to burn it on your second pick just shows you how that was a very hard decision. Their gut feeling is Samuel's not the right pick. But they know that they've just created a draft scenario where Samuel is at least going to have the best chance of success. And to give it back over to Lone Delphi just seems like the wrong move based on everything we've seen over the last 24 hours.
Absolutely. And we do see the Kestrel picked up out in Nova, which we did not see work very well into the Samuel last game. So we'll have to see if, maybe positionally, we discuss Delphi all the time, has this great positioning on these ranged crystal heroes. Maybe he can still pull this through.
Well, this is gonna be exciting because Gwen comes out again. We know Best Truck, this weapon Glenn's gonna be packing a punch. I think Von C is very excited to show everybody that he can play the Samuel just as well as Lone Delphi. But it's going to be I think it's gonna be a really intense matchup. I think it's gonna be coming down to the wire as we look to get into this game and started. But now that we're just a few moments away, we've seen the draft. What are some of your come on, give me some thoughts on how you feel like this kind of played out. Did Team Solo Mid win the draft, or is this kind of a tough position for them?
I really think Team Solo Mid won this draft. Gwen functions really well into Crystal Kestrel in general because you have that buckshot that has that wide AoE, which can reveal a Crystal Kestrel. And once a Crystal Kestrel's been hit, it's very difficult for her to get back into her active camo. And, we already discussed that this draft just looks perfect for a Samuel. We have the Taka and Glaive ban, we have the Lance ban, and the Grumpjaw ban. How can you not pick Samuel in this scenario? And on Von C, we've seen him play in the past to a great extent, and I really just hope that he hasn't lost his touch on this hero because I think this is going to be a great game.
I do. Well, we're jumping into it. It is Denomine and myself as we are kicking it off. Game number 2, Nova up by 1. That's right. This is not a mistake. Nova leads Team Solo Mid 1-0 in this best of 5. But this is very, has the potential to be very close. Look at this, Truth and company. They're looking to actually potentially. Oh no, interesting. I was thinking they were looking to push. Instead, it's going to be Truth here. He's going to do a rotation with Lone Delphi, and we see this actually come out when both carries want to get to that. They want to share the golden XP early to give them a slight advantage over the enemy team. And it looks like, wow, Team Solo Mid is going to do the same thing. Von C, Best Truck, and Egg. They're going to share this backs together. So the same strategy employed by both teams is going to negate any real benefit that either one would have over each other.
Absolutely, and we do see a lot of the top teams doing this, and more of them doing this as time goes on, and it does look like Delphi might be lagging a little bit here. So we go into a pause.
We're going to take a quick break here, make sure that he's okay. And I'm just waiting for word. Yeah, so it looks like there's going to have to be a reset. So, slight issue with one of the players from Nova Esports. They should be back into this game here in just a few seconds. And once we get into this, we should be good to go. Players do have the ability to pause the game when there is a very difficult situation, one that they simply cannot resolve within the game itself. They have to restart the game, and when that occurs, we are able to get in there and make sure that they have the tools. We want them to play at their best too. I mean, this is a game where obviously they feel like they have a chance at winning this. So we should be ready to go. And I think we're unpaused. No, no.
Not quite yet. Hopefully we get back in here soon, though, because I am excited to see the outcome of this game, and here we go.
All right, so now we're unpaused. What I will say, though, is it looks like that Vonsi and Vesterkane have wrapped up their rotation very quickly, but it's going to allow Nova to come in here and take this Elder Treant, which, I really love to see the statistics on, they did take it very quickly that time, but how effective is taking the Elder Treant really? I mean, it slows down your overall rotation. In this case, though, I think they do get a slight edge, but look at this. Yeah, I mean, the Samuel pressure, very, very hard for even the side of Nova to deal with. So, looks like Team Solo Mid now adapting to what they saw just played and finding it to be very effective early.
Absolutely, and it is tough to say whether taking that middle Treant is worth it or not. I think on a gold value, it's not worth it. But that middle Treant does offer experience, and we know the Treants are the biggest experience in the game that you can get. So, if you can focus that experience down onto one person and get that level advantage, it can be worth the difference in gold advantage. It's something we'd really have to chart out to be able to tell.
Vonsi chooses to go back. This is going to leave this Kestrel wide open to start chunking down. Can he get the kill? So close. Best chuck at A. He has dropped very low, but he's going to be able to get healed back up here by the Lyra and stay in this lane. Going to have to be careful, but nice pressure coming out of Nova here, looking to take advantage of, basically Vonsi's choice to go back and shop early. What this does mean, though, is that, Kestrel hadn't shopped yet, but now Kestrel has. So that advantage is negated as well. Going to be another Elder Treant going over. Truth and Ediel going to pick this up without a problem. And somehow, man, we saw Team Solo Mid struggle into the Samuel, but it doesn't look like they're able to apply the same level of aggression.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see how Delphi plays into the Samuel. We were discussing it, how much he plays it and at what extent he plays it. So can he play against it? Is going to be really the big thing that we see here. And, we have Vonsi has got a chance to shop now and picked up a little bit more crystal damage. So we're going to see this Malice and Verdict damage really start to ramp up. And there we see it. Delphi's dropping dangerously low, living with a potion, though.
Oh, yeah, very, very low here. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's just how hard it is to poke. To poke a Samuel, he's going to poke you right back, and he's going to poke you once he's empowered at a much faster rate. So, really just going to be overall very challenging here. Vonsi looking to come in, maybe find something. Oh, instead he's going to... Oh, very close to getting caught in the active camo. Empowered comes out, Drifting Darkness. Oh, doing so much damage. First Blood going to be going over to Vonsi, and he's got to be feeling pretty good, man. This Samuel just absolutely tearing through all the previous strong meta picks right now. This early game Samuel seems like it's just too much to handle.
Yeah, I mean, do you think something in the future, this Samuel is going to be something that we're going to see picked up by more players, or do you think this is something that an exclusive group of players are going to be able to master?
Well, I think that, because we are moving to a new update after this tournament, that it's going to be hard to see how Samuel plays into the new compositions. There's a lot of changes to some of these heroes, but Samuel didn't get touched. And, actually, if we look at all of the heroes that are played with Samuel to a lot of effectiveness, they seem to be pretty much untouched as well. So it's possible that we'll see a lot more of it. One of the big differences is, of course, the rise of Arden and Catherine as very dominant support players. It changes the meta just a little bit, but so far, I mean, this Samuel play, I expect it to be played or banned in every single game here for the rest of the night.
I mean, we're really seeing the strength of the Samuel. Vonsi isn't particularly known for his Samuel, but he's definitely shown that he can do it. And I don't really think if you're going to set the draft up the way Nova did, that you can allow a Samuel to go through like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely gate plays is their strength. Truth of Light gets very low. One shot, one kill lands. Evol so close. Going to have to use a fountain. That's a very early fountain. And this means that Nova actually has a fountain to save. They look to focus on Edio. Good target. He has to completely disengage. Out of range. Truth's not going to be able to take advantage of a fountain if it's procced. So instead, he's going to have to disengage. And look at that. Team Sullivan able to heal back up thanks to that sigil. And the Lyra with the Samuel combo and the Gwen proving to be very challenging for Nova Esports so far. As we do see Bestchuck and A very cheekily getting caught up in a reset that you may not have seen. Slow him down just a tad, but the gold lead is about where we saw Nova at this time, right? It was about the same 600 gold lead. This is where Nova seemed to take advantage of that power spike from that Samuel. We'll see if Fonzie can do the same, as he's going to finally rotate up to the lane, looking to help deal. There's a little bit of aggression. Truth getting kind of low, takes a few shots. Bonsi, he's going to pull out. There's the Mausenberg. Does not holds that Drifting Darkness just a few seconds. He's not really committed to going in just yet. I don't think he sees the whole team. One shot, one kill does land. And it actually feels like Bonsi playing well, but a slightly more passive than what we saw Lone Delphi play.
Yeah, and we do see this Frostburn coming out, which is a really good first item on the Samuel. But he held on to this Drifting Dark really greatly, because when he first came up and had an opportunity to go for Truth, there was a bunch of lane minions in the way, and there's just really not a lot of opportunity with Samuel at that point. And I think we're going to see Von C get caught out here if they decide to engage, but it looks like they're just going to let him get the middle tree and move on.
He's going to look to try to do something. He knows that they're there. Needs some damage. They're looking to try to maybe come in. There's a lot. Drifting Darkness comes out. Can Von C make it happen? But here comes Bestchuck and A. He's really low. Gets the stun. Ediol takes the stun for the team and the death. Von C is going to get dropped by this Kestrel. And, but Bestchuck and A sees him. Still lead it, and that's just nothing you could do. Out of position. This is going to be a 2-to-1 advantage in the kill trades going over to Team Solomon.
Yeah, it was really well played out of Delphi there. He was able to boot out of the Samuel's damage and pick up that kill. Unfortunately, he was just a little too far on the side of TSM, and Chuck was able to come down, but a lot of damage coming out of Truth here. Wow, cleans up the kill very quickly on Evol. Fountain is down too.
Oh, he had to waste everything to get out. Of course, that Poison Shiv, and we've seen Truth loves to build this Tension Bow Poison Shiv. I mean, it's his, go-to. And, Team Solomon, they took away the Samuel, but they couldn't take away the Vox. And you can see this is the game where Truth of Light really needs to shine here, as teams looking to try to figure out how do you counter Nova Esports.
Yeah, and, it's really coming down to how Truth is playing, too, is... we see this Poison Shiv Tension Bow coming out quite often out of him, and we've seen it work over and over again as TSM continues to pick up this Lyra, and the Poison Shiv just does so well into the Lyra that, you're really taking away an entire player's effectiveness by reducing both the Fountain and the Sigil heal that she has.
Fountain's up 1 second. Here you go. Team Solomon, they want to fight, but look how low Bestchuck NA is already. They're going to have to force an early Fountain potentially if Team Solomon wants to keep engaging. Good job by Nova. They've dodged so many Malice and Verdicts, basically forcing Team Solomon to kind of stay away from it full engage. Even with the Lyra, they just can't seem to finish it off. Fountain still held by both teams. Nova's just going to disengage. Oh, no, they're going to wrap around the bottom of the lane. Catch Von C. Fountain's used. Can he survive? One more shot will do it. There he goes. Truth does take another turret shot. He's very low. Ediol and Truth look at the reposition right in the middle between those two turret ranges. And just like that, unbelievable. Nova Esports are looking to take the early game lead again from Team Solomon.
They absolutely are, and here goes down first turret, and I do want to make note of the positioning that they had when that Drifting Dark did come out of Samuel. As soon as a clean snipe coming out of Delphi there.
Jukes! The jukes are real.
If you notice, once the Drifting Dark comes down out of On C, Truth, Delphi, and Eddie all split up to that, so that the AoE damage from the Samuel isn't able to get the same effect that we've seen it have last game.
No, that's absolutely true, and unfortunately, I feel like the early aggression coming out of On C was just a little too light. I mean, we saw Lone Delphi play the Samuel more aggressively. They got didn't have necessarily a bigger lead, but they definitely had more control over the jungle than what we saw Team Solo Mid. So now, in this case, again, another lead, 3,000 gold at the 10-minute mark. Truth is a little bit low on energy, so they are just going to focus on coming back down, shopping. Moving on, double infusions coming out of Team Solo Mid. So Team Solo Mid, in both games, have decided to go for those infusions early, and it has not paid off. This is something where it seems like Nova, they've been more patient. They've chosen not to do early infusions before the 10-minute mark, instead focusing on building out those items. Their mechanical play has been very, very solid, and they're looking to take another game off of Team Solo Mid.
Absolutely they are, and I think this is another game that I don't think anybody really would have expected Nova to be winning so drastically, but, Truth on this Vox, and a very good block there for the Aces High.
They have to use a fountain. Oh my goodness, they find Best Chuck! And just now, Lone Delphi on this Kestrel. He's looking, he gets Fonzie, and that's another
Three shots,
oh
327 damage per Glimmer shot, able to clean up the kill on Von C and on Best Chuck.
There's just nothing anybody can do. And just as their name handle says it, Truth the God, here with his support, they're just not slowing down whatsoever, and this is looking very, very bleak so far. I mean, we're only at 11 minutes against Team Solo Mid to have a game look this dominant by a team that wasn't even in Bangalore 8 last season, and I think by a lot of players considered probably to be maybe an 8th seed team overall by a lot of these top teams. I think coming in here and showing everyone they could be a top 4 team easily. I mean, they're taking down definitely some of the best teams, although it should be noted, obviously the support players and some of the, the draft minds coming out for these teams maybe not present. We do see, there's a nice Verse of Judgment. That's a great zoning Verse of Judgment, although that Crystal Miner is going to come up here. Delphi very low. Here's Fountain. They turn. They move on to Von C. He's gone. 1 shot, 1 kill. Catches Best Chuck at 8. Wow, that was so well placed.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful snipe out of Delphi, and the immediate turnaround and engage when Truth saw that Drifting Dark fall, he immediately turned on Von C and got that burst damage down with this Tension Bow and Sorrow Blade and Poison Shiv build, where Evil wasn't able to save him with the Fountain or the Sigil because of the Poison Shiv, and the damage is just constantly there with Truth on this Vox. He is a very good player, showing that he can compete with all these other top laners, so, granted the supports, Flash X and Gabe Bizzle might not be here, I don't think we can really take too much away from Nova. They just seem to be playing incredibly well.
Absolutely, and Von C on the Samuel has not been able to show the same kind of proficiency that Lone Delphi did. So, you said he doesn't normally play Samuel. The poke-heavy heroes aren't necessarily his specialty, but he could obviously play anything in the jungle. It's just something that maybe he's just not as well practiced. So, right, is Samuel going to become more of a priority pick, right? You got to be able to play it well. Gold Miner is going to be taken. It's going to go over to Nova. And Nova now with it's 8,000 gold lead.
Yeah, sitting right around 8,000 gold lead is a good spot for them to be. However, we do know that Samuel scales really heavily into the late game, so I wouldn't count Von C out yet.
But he continues to buy infusions. He does not have an even harvest. One of the things that, I have seen a lot of players do is they do build the Eve third, but you try to rush it because, before, not getting there means that your sustain's just a little bit lower, and that could be the difference in a fight. So he's got some gold, but instead he's had to buy a lot of infusions, and I just don't think Team Solo Mid has taken advantage of these early infusions correctly.
Yeah, and even if we don't see the Eve come out yet, I really need to see some energy regeneration come out of Von C. We only have a tier 1 energy battery, and he just doesn't have the energy in these fights to continue putting down damage. Once he gets Truth and Delphi and Eddie low, and a great snipe.
I mean, and there's nowhere Best Chuck could go. He was trapped, and he knew it. Tries to get out. There's Truth looking to find Evil. He cannot get through. Interestingly, of course, the heal. I'm actually curious if the heal mitigation from that Poison Shiv actually affects the heal in the Sanctuary. As, that was almost a decision by Truth. Oblivion's going to come out. Nice Crucible to block, even though I think they were out of range. And now Kraken is on the map. You just have to imagine if Nova feels like this is, do they hide? Do they wait? They're not quite full health. They're very low energy. This is a very risky move.
It absolutely is, and we do see Nova is waiting. Delphi does give away their position a little bit with that glimmer shot, and the flare comes out to follow. This crystal sentry going down very quickly, though.
Yeah, VISPRO, he has to force himself up here. And they're low energy. This is such a risky decision if you choose to stay and fight this, because you have to imagine Team Solo Mid, they know that they've got the advantage. They've got the ability to keep poking. Delphi is
what we really have to pay attention here, though, is we do have a couple really heavy cooldowns burned for Team Solo Mid, and a good snipe comes out on Von C, getting a lot of damage down.
Yeah, it paired up with the scout trap. They steal away the healer, and there's VISPRO, he's gone. It's going to be another one. They're chasing on the Von C. There's UC Evil, has to chase away as he's being followed by Truth. Truth's going to be able to take care of this healer, no problem. Now Von C is dropped. This is an ace. Ladies and gentlemen, Nova Esports are looking to go up 2 games against Team Solo Mid.
And they're not even going to need the Kraken. You know, they're just going to push in and win this game, and they should have the damage to do so.
Yeah, they've got
Best Chuck is coming up, but I mean, is Best Chuck going to be able to, you know, really stop this? I don't think so.
He comes up right now. These 2 turrets are gone. There's nothing he can do. Burst of Judgment, if anything, maybe puts a little bit of fear into the eyes of Best Chuck. And game number 2 going over to Nova, back to back against arguably one of the most powerhouse teams. Believe it or not, I mean, we didn't even see Cloud9 lose back to backs. They did take off the second game from Nova, but so they thought a long time about that Samuel play, and I'll be honest, I thought it was the right call as well. But for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to work as well as the way Delphi played it in game 1.
Yeah, and you know, I really liked the draft that they had set up to get this Samuel pick, but in that last fight, you know, we seen the Drifting Dart go down in 2 Malice and Verdicts, and Von C was out of energy. He didn't have any energy to follow up with more Malice and Verdicts. He had to leave the fight, which left his team vulnerable. And you know, I really liked the Samuel pick, though. It seemed like the Samuel counters were gone, but maybe it wasn't even Von C. Maybe it's just Nova saying, you know, we know this hero well enough that we know how to play into it.
I mean, they definitely showed it there. I think the big thing was just the way that Kestrel played. Those one-shots were hitting continuously. Von C, when he played Kestrel, he was using the one-shots, got a few hits, but really never got hits in times that mattered, like going into a fight. The bigger difference there, too, was, you know, you had an Adagio this time on your side instead of the Lyra. The decision by Evil, they've been sticking to this Lyra, and typically we see the win rate of Lyra very, very, very high. But Evil's not having the same success, and one of the changes you might see Team Solo Mid make is on that support play. This time, ban out the Lyra, just take it away, and then look at forcing both teams onto different supports and also onto different carries. You know, it's obviously going to happen. We're going to take a quick break, everybody, but when we come back, game number 3 is going to be upon us, and believe it or not, Nova Esports is looking to take potentially this tournament into their hands here in the next game. We'll just have to wait and see after the break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for game number 3. It's going down to the wire as Nova Esports is up 2, and everything is looking like they have a good shot at taking game number 3. But I think now your team's still a little bit. You've played 2 games now. You've got a bigger sample size. You can't lose this next game, but you're still in it because it's a best of 5. So, what do? Like the draft seems to be an area that right out the gate, they're not getting that early game pressure that they need. Early game pressure always going to be a very important part of Vainglory. There's no reason to avoid it. So now, do you pick up a Koshka? Do you try to play something? Do you try to take a game off of Nova? That's the question. As I think Dave's got to reset his mic real quick. So in the meantime, while we wait for that, we are going to get ready for the next draft. Get into game number 3 here, just a few seconds. And as we look, and again, incredibly so, Nova is in great shape to, they could probably take this game as well. I mean, the possibilities are definitely real. Let's see, Day, make sure, he's got to do a quick reconnect. He'll be back in just a few seconds as we're almost ready to get into it.
Alrighty, I think I am back.
Yeah, you're back. You're ready to go. All right, I think we're ready to get into this next draft. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about what Team SoloMid can do. Obviously, these guys know way more about the game than we do, right? Like we obviously didn't know what we were talking about. We thought the Samuel was a good pick, and they thought so too. And I still think it was a good pick. I really couldn't tell you why it was so unsuccessful that game versus game 1. But I feel like Team SoloMid, they have a wider hero pool. They can reach deeper into things, into comps that I don't think Nova really has experience playing. The question is, does Team SoloMid want to show that right here, right now? This is the last game on 2.4, or potentially could be the last game on 2.4. What really is there to hide?
I don't really know if it's anything to hide as much as I'd really like to see something. I'd like to see VISPRO on something that he's more comfortable with. So I'd like to see the Samuel ban maybe coming into the second part of the draft because I doubt that they're going to first pick Samuel. So I'd like to see the Samuel ban come in as the second bans come around, and I'd really like to see VISPRO get on one of these heroes that he's really known for, the Koshka or the Taka, or he plays a really good Sky, also a good Petal. I just want to see something that is more of an aggressive VISPRO style pick. Maybe that weapon Grumpshaw that we've seen out of him.
The draft begins.
I want to see something that has a lot more early game aggression.
Well, we may get to see it finally. Its draft has started, and they do decide there is the Lance ban. And I do like them actually focusing on supports now. So forces Nova to go with the Grumpjaw. You now have, I feel like this is the question. Do you take Lyra here? Now, we know Starboy's Lyra is really good. Is Eddie L's Lyra as strong? But more importantly, do you feel like Lyra's the right play, or do you feel like you need to play something? I feel like for aggressive comps, the Adagio is taken away.
And this is for Evol, not for Ediel.
Yeah.
Because TSM's back on this side. So it's an Adagio pickup here. I was kind of expecting the Lyra. We know Evol likes the Lyra, but it seems like every time we get that Lyra pick, we get a ranged heavy comp that doesn't need to dive. So it's a team comp that's based around this poking. And we do see the Lyra picked up. Very smart not to give away the double heal, but
so what this does is when you lose a Lyra pick and your team solo mid, you have to start asking, all right, what do we do? Do we go with the composition that's dive heavy? Because the Lyra is going to stop that. I'm actually surprised they banned the Taka, because I feel like with the Lyra, you can actually block off some of Taka's abilities. But obviously, I think when you think of Von C is very patient on the Taka. He's obviously going to be able to play into that. So take that away again. Box finally taken off the board. I think this might be the one pick that could make a big difference as you Kestrel's finally taken.
And we could see it be maybe pushing Truth a little bit out of his comfort, but we've seen him play a really good Gwen. We've seen him play Kestrel in the
Yeah, I was gonna
past.
say he might. This is probably gonna be a lane Kestrel.
I want to say they're going to use this Kestrel as a pivot point. I don't see TSM trying to pick up this Samuel again. And we already have the Lyra, so we're taking away a lot of heavy dive potential that Team Solo Med can pick here, which is where Von C is the most comfortable. So we're going to see TSM dig a bit into their bonus time here, but I really feel like we have so far a very safe draft for Delphi to pocket pick this Samuel again and possibly push a 3-0 over TSM.
Yeah, the real question is, now with Glaive on the board, do you feel like Glaive has, even though you've got a Lyra, the ball work doesn't last forever. Is Glaive a good enough pick into the Castro? I love Glaive because although you have to watch out for the back of camos, Fortress. This is actually the pick that threw Nova off last night and was the one game Cloud9 won, was when they flexed that Fortress and just completely surprised Nova.
Yeah, the Fortress does bring a inherent mortal wound, and we see Taka off the table already, so that does work pretty well into the Lyra. And we do see a Glaive, so I'm actually thinking this is going to be a lane Adagio with a Roam Fortress and a Wind Glaive would be what I think.
No, I agree. I
think what we're going to see with we'll pick in a danger zone. With Adagio being your roamer, you don't have anybody that is significantly tanky enough to block a lot of the Malice and Verdicts, so I really do like this draft that TSM has pulled out.
I really do too, but I think that as we wait for this last pick here, man, Nova's taking a long time. I was actually kind of surprised they go with the Samuel again. I think in this case, this is a little bit more risky because although you've got Lyra's bulwark, you are allowing them to get a composition that's very aggressive that can push to your backline and get behind there and take out Samuel.
Absolutely, and it's really going to be dependent on this Lyra to see if she's able to prevent the Glaive and the Fortress from being able to get to that backline. I think we're going to have to wait and see just exactly how it picks out. I do think it's going to be a lane Adagio. You know, we know this is one of Chuck's best heroes, so I really think that there is a lot of potential here. This is where TSM is comfortable. Von C, we see him on this Glaive, which I presume is going to be weapon if it is a lane Adagio. And that's a really aggressive pick that Von C is just, he's known for those aggressive heroes.
Absolutely. So we do look to get into this game here in just a few moments.
And it is best Chuck on the Adagio, and I, for several patches, have considered Best Chuck to be the best Adagio that I have personally seen in North America. So I think if TSM had a chance to take a game off of Nova out of any of the past games, this one is going to be the one. This is where I feel TSM is comfortable with their draft and has good picks into Nova.
And looks like Team Solo Mid's going to make Ediel pay for that positioning error. Very, very quick first blood already on the board. And they're going to be able to come in here. This is the early aggression that I just couldn't believe teams weren't taking up against Nova, because they do tend to play a little bit more conservatively. And look at that. They come in there. You do see 2 pair of boots. Fortress doesn't need one. And very quickly taking a strong lead. And with this Fortress, once you secure this lead, I feel like Von C and company will be able to just completely keep succeeding at here. Nova now is going to have to start thinking about how they're going to play over the next 3 minutes to avoid a snowball.
Absolutely, and that's a good first blood to get onto the laner here. So Best Chuck picks up that bonus gold. So once he gets to shop, he's going to inherently be an additional item ahead of Truth in this scenario. And we see Truth has 4 potions and has a light shield already, really respecting the damage that Best Chuck's going to be able to put down in this lane.
Yeah, but because they did buy boots right off the bat, this first rotation is going to be a little bit weak. So Von C not going to maybe necessarily pack as much of a punch. Here it looks like he is going to potentially recall, realizing, oh no, strike it, and stay here. They do want the gank, but Truth is staying back. They're going to find Ediel again, and this is something where, as a Lyra, you are very squishy, and at level 1, you really don't have any way to defend yourself against any potential ganks. So Ediol is struggling, and actually, where this really is going to be huge for Team Solomid is Ediol's going to be very slow to get this fountain, which is going to put him very far behind on the support play, and Team Solomid can definitely punish Nova for it.
They definitely can, and you know, getting 2 kills on the board early is definitely going to be a you know, it's going to be a positive mental impact for Team Solomid after losing the past 2 games to be out early and to have that comfort you normally have. You know, this is where we normally see TSM. We normally see them with a couple kills in the early game, and I really think that helps them a lot with their judgment, is just being in the right mood. So this is going to be a good game for sure. I don't think we're going to see as demanding of a lead out of Nova as we have in the past games.
No, it's already a little bit closer. They've done a good job pressuring the lane here. Bonzi actually teleports, forcing Best Chuck to stay, but you know, he's an Adagio. He's got he doesn't have an Iron Guard to back him up. As they do look, they're gonna fight Ediol again, and this is the second time they've found and just eliminated Ediol off the map. And eventually, this is gonna catch up with Nova, because when your support is starved and that far behind and not able to stay in the lane to collect gold, he's not going to have a fountain early, and the team fights at the mid game are going to favor Team Solomid substantially. They
absolutely are, and you know, this is really why I like this Glaive pick into the Lyra that we got picked up, because Lyra's general health pool and her defenses are the lowest in the game. So the burst damage that's able to come out of this Adagio and this Glaive, you know, yes, it's the roamer, but when this Lyra oversteps, they're going to be able to strongly punish her for doing so.
Absolutely.
However, we do see a very good push coming out of Nova here, and they're going to take this first turret in 4 minutes.
Wow, that is unbelievable.
Very, very good decision there. They seen Von C had rotated back down to the jungle, and instead of trying to rotate down and try to steal that jungle away, instead they got the damage down on Best Chuck and on Evil, and they just pushed the turret in, and that's going to be 900 gold additional.
That is
sitting in the losing out the first couple kills, but picking up the first turret at 4 minutes is easily worth 4 kills in my opinion, Dragon.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised. I mean, Team Solomid just doesn't seem in sorts here. Even these 3 games, their rotations. I mean, it's not that their rotations are off. They're choosing to play a certain more farm-heavy passive rotation, whereas Delphi has found ways to get into the lane during an off rotation by Von C, and that continues to be a problem. They're going to be able to shop here, pick up a few items, and look to start another fight. And you know, we talked about Ediol being behind, but he's already got a fountain. He's really not behind in items at all.
Not at all. That first turret was definitely helpful, and we already see this Frostburn coming out of Delphi, and that's, you know, that's really going to be heavy into the Evol and Glaive. They want to be able to dive, and they want to be able to stick to their targets, but with this Lyra able to put down the Bright Bulwark and the Samuel able to follow up with some Frostburn slows, I don't really know if you know, you really have to bait out the Bulwark, I guess is what I'm getting to make a safe dive.
There was a dive there. They got really close to taking out Truth, but he's found a way to stay alive. And they look to try to engage on him again, but Vonsi down the jungle, he does lose out on his healer. There's another healer. He's struggling to secure these up against this Kestrel on Truth. Delphi playing the Samuel very well. Evil, there's a kill. Finally a kill on the board. This is incredible. The lead and everything was in favor of Nova, but they didn't have a single kill. They finally get one in the support, but it doesn't even matter. They're focusing on these objectives, and it's just, there's nothing that Team Solomid seems to be able to do here. You're going to see Bonsi. They're looking to kind of push back in again, but Nova they're looking so dominant already. 2,000 gold up at 6 minutes. I'm trying to think of what Team Solomid could do here. Now, you already see Von C going with this tension bow early. He's going to pack a lot of damage. Question is he going to go hybrid or stick with the weapon build? But what this means is that, you know, he's kind of mitigated. He's got a strong early mid-game spike, but not really sure that he'll be able to do much more than that.
Absolutely, and you know, Nova, you know, we've discussed on constantly they're impressing us, and I think it rolls right into this game too. You know, yes, they're down kills, but they are up gold, and they're about to get this gold miner. And, you know, It's looking really good. You know, that's another immense gold payout, and Delphi is getting this gold that he wants on Samuel. I really liked the draft from TSM, but right now, Nova is just looking like a stronger team to me.
Yeah, you really wouldn't know it coming into this series that it would be so one-sided. I actually really anticipated this to be a very close series, and unfortunately, Team Solo Mid just not able to find the right formula up against this young, surprisingly strong upcoming team here. I mean, I really would be surprised. Even now, even seeing where we are at the game, I still would be surprised if Nova wins 3-0 in this series. It doesn't seem plausible, even though it's appearing to be very, very plausible as they're looking to push up again. Bonsi, he has a lot of focus on farm in this game, in all these games, actually. You know, he's realized, I think he's got time here. He does choose to continue farming down in the jungle, even though this turret now is going to be the siege. Trying to time it so he can get up there, but look how late he is to come up here because he's so late rotating up. He is looking for the kill. They don't get the turret. This could be the fight that Team Solo Mid wants, but Truth of Light, great reflexes, goes invisible. Looking to keep poking away. There comes the Oblivion. Wow, Best Shot gets deleted. And this is fights going over the Nova. There's nothing Team Solo Mid can do. Vonsi, he's thinking about it. Instead, he's going to come in from behind. Big mistake. As Ediol hasn't even used the portal, but they're going to instead focus on objectives here. Going to ignore Vonsi. They don't need the ace to get the turret.
Absolutely not. And that was so beautifully played by Nova. Vonsi had a good angle where he came in, but a good activation of Bright Bulwark and Boots allowed them.
Yeah, I mean, allowed them to get into great position.
Them to get out safely.
Yeah, absolutely. See them clear out the jungle. Vonsi did take away a decent amount of jungle from their backs, but it's going to be pretty much mitigated from the fact that they were able to rotate through, clear out the rest of this, and actually probably come in here in time to take out this healer. They could probably do a full rotation depending on when these backs come up. But with this, guys, look at this. One lane turret left. Vonsi, he is 2-0, but that's all that he has going positive for him. He hasn't died yet, but he's only got 38. I mean, he's actually even on CS. In the lane is where the disparity is. Best Truck A has just not been able to deal with Truth of Light at all this series.
Absolutely not, and we do see a good afterburn there, but this Bright Bulwark and the slows out of Samuel just allowing Delphi to get just out of
kill, though.
But the Adagio is able to pick up the kill, so this is very good for Team Solo Mid right now.
Oh, we do see back and forth. Lyra, Ediol's going down. Truth goes down. Adagio, there's an ace. Oh no, Lyra did get away, just barely. Didn't even have to use the portal, but this is likely going to be the first turret. The first turret of this game. Team Solo Mid finally able to find some momentum. And that fight looking a lot...
And not going to be enough to bring them back into the lead, but, you know, that is some good bounties that they do pick up there. You know, we had a couple kill streaks going on, minor ones, but, you know, it's still getting that first turret down
very
is...
minor.
Pocket.
Very minor. There was not, I mean, a huge amount of gold there. What it does do, though, is it allows them to finally have a clean, full farm rotation, get some gold from the gold kills, you know, pick up all of this farm without having to contest with Nova over it. And they don't get the gold miner, but again, they're looking, you know, they're only down 4,000 now. This is a huge swing in the right direction. Bonsi's going to finally be able to pick up his second tier 3 item in a few minutes. And the next fights are going to look a little bit cleaner. But that was about as good as Team Solo Mid's been able to look so far in this entire series. If Nova doesn't make another mistake, though, this could definitely still be this very dominant game. At 11 minutes, they're still leading.
At 11 minutes, they are still leading, but I'm actually surprised that if you look at the roamers, Evil is not very behind in gold. We see that Ediol has that third item completed. He has the War Treads Crucible Fountain. We're not that far behind on Evil, so the gold disparity for the roamers is not too difficult right now.
Nice.
Vonsi going very, very deep. I'm not sure about that one.
You see, oh,
but
dude.
Root does come down on the Samuel, which possibly could save the Glaive's life.
But no, they're going to
nope. Afterburn is not going to be up in time for him to escape.
And there is an ace going over to Nova Esports. This is It's not. I don't know if this is going to be a turret in time. I think the Best Chuck and Evil are going to get there in time. It's going to be just more control in the jungle. It's only 12 minutes. There's no major objectives to be taken here. Although they might go for Crystal Miner. It's about all they can probably get here.
I do want to point out that we have a level 10 glaive that does not have Afterburn overdriven yet either, which is a significant reduced cooldown once you do get that overdrive point put in. So hopefully we'll see Von C get level 11 here soon and get that last point into Afterburn, because that can really start to change some of these fights if he has more mobility available to him.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, when you go weapon, you do get a little bit extra damage from the B overdrive, because it does scale better with the weapon power, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the question is, this is not that utility cooldown glaive that we're used to seeing. They got forced to flex the Adagio, and what other teams have done is flex that into a weapon Adagio. Best Chuck and A feels like, no, the Crystal Adagio is better, and it doesn't look like it's doing nearly as much damage as what we see out of the weapon Adagio, and that actually puts Von C on that weapon glaive instead of the Crystal, so the cooldown greatly reduced from what we normally are used to seeing.
Yeah, so it's looking really good for Nova. We're extending this gold lead to 6,000 now. So if they can continue to keep this up, and we see Evo already dropping dangerously low and dying early on in that fight, Truth getting fountained, able to live. He does drop to Best Chuck, but I think Delphi's going to be able to pick up the kill here on Best Chuck, and this is potentially, if they do pick up this ace, is going to be another turret for Nova.
Oh, but great burst of judgment. He had them both on fire, so he was able to just get them to disengage. Looking to try to do some damage. Oh, he's caught out. He tried to get out of there in time. Was not able to. This is an ace. Now, this time, they could push up here and take out this turret. Instead,
they're not going to have the time. Best Chuck was able to bait out the timer just long enough that Von C and Evil are now up. So it is an ace, but with two members up, it's really risky to push the turret.
Absolutely.
We do see Truth has completed his 4th item on this weapon Kestrel, though. 2 monocles, a breaking point, and a sorrow blade.
Yeah, I mean, Truth has gotten the glass cannon here. He's gotten all those red items.
And a level 12 infusion being picked up right now, too.
So he's going to pack a punch. Now, that's putting a lot into one basket. If they take him out in a fight, there's the potential to win that. Right now, you do see they are separated substantially, but Team Solo Mid's not even stepping out of their sanctuary. And at this point, at 14 minutes, this game is looking like it's going to be Nova able to secure it. So for Team Solo Mid, what can they do? How do they turtle effectively, and how do they stay in this game long enough to survive possibly a Kraken?
Well, they really just have to find one good fight. Coming up here, we're now at 15 minutes. If they can find one good fight, like we've seen him do a couple minutes ago, where they're able to pick Truth off, he has essentially no defense, and he is always dangerously close to the front line, which is not typically where we see a Kestrel be. So if TSM can get a good pick on Truth, I think they have some potential to take a Kraken and possibly gain some more ground. It's just going to depend on if they can find that fight.
Oh, they're looking for it right now. And this is where Glaive against the Kestrel is effective. He can afterburn right over those. But look at that Glimmer shot going in. They look to try to find Truth. Truth is getting locked out of the body. He's very low. He gets down. This is not good for Nova. The Oblivion does drop, but misses, as both Ediel and Lone Delphi just have to be very careful. But right, if you lose Truth on these fights, this is going to be Team Solo Mid able to come in here. Von C thinks about it. Bulwark pops up. It was a little bit. He actually psyched out the bulwark there, which is really good play, because you can see he didn't commit to it. And Team Solo Mid now with this Kraken, they're looking to push up. They got to be careful though. Kestrel is coming up here pretty soon. Instead, they look for the fight. They try to go on. Lone Delphi gets knocked back, and he's very close to dropping. Bulwark comes down, does keep him alive just a few seconds longer. It's not a cooldown glaive. He can't get the afterburn off in time. This is going the other way. Evil, the last man standing, and I mean, this weapon glaive just not able to wreak havoc in the backline as effective as the crystal glaive. And now this is, hate to say it, this is Nova's game to win.
This is indeed Nova's game to win, with only Evil standing, and He's all the way back at base. There's no attempt possible here for a Kraken steal. That was a very, very good bait out of Nova, getting Team Solo Mid underneath that Crystal Miner. I don't know if you noticed, but there really wasn't a whole lot of damage done by Delphi in that fight to Chuck. I think he got a couple splashes down, but that Crystal Miner on the back line constantly hitting Chuck is what did a majority of the damage. So really overstayed with the damage being on your carry is not good.
And this is definitely going to be a match they're going to keep an eye out. Bonsi jumps in. There's the snare, but he's able to keep moving in. They're trying to get Delphi. Delphi backs away, but look how aggressive. He's so low. Truth goes down first. It's the second fight in a row. They're going down. The Kraken is pushing. Can they get a Delphi? He's dropping. He's very low. He doesn't have it all. The Oblivion's going to come down. Doesn't connect. Evil doesn't have the portal. He's only got sigils. He's looking to try to get out of here. This is likely going to be an ace. And, you know, Team Solo Mid could probably just... Oh, no, they're going to back out. I was going to say they could probably push for a turret. Instead, they choose to take out this Kraken.
They do choose to take out this Kraken. And one thing I do want to notice, make note of, is that Evil has picked up some extra flares for these fights. So when we noticed in the earlier fights is... Once the Glaive dove on the Kestrel, she was able to use her active camo and reposition herself around the fight, giving time for Samuel to get more slows down and allowing herself to reposition. Every single time Von C dives in on this Kestrel, Evil immediately follows it up with a flare, leaving Kestrel nowhere to go.
No, it's been played really well, but what's really unfortunate is that Team Solo Mid hasn't gotten anything from those two fights. Two fights where they've won the early fights, where they take the advantage, they get an ace the second fight, and they get no objectives from it. Other than, I mean, they do get the Kraken, which is a lot of gold, but they've got to win these fights now, and I think that they're in great position to finally start doing this. Team Solo Mid could come back into this game. So we said it was Nova's game to win. Now it's looking like their game to lose. They really have everything in their advantage. They got to be careful. They need to make sure Truth positions correctly.
They absolutely do, and if they can really count the flares here and know when Evil is out, because he doesn't have a flare gun and he doesn't have a contraption, so the maximum amount of flares you can have is 5. If you know we see these constant flares being baited out, the sigil or the bulwark is baited out really early by Edial. Delphi put in a very dangerous position, but Von C going down to the huge damage that Truth's able to put out. And this is looking like it's going to be game for Nova. They have all the damage to finish this. There's no cracking up, but they don't need one. And that was just a great fight there out of Nova.
Oh, yeah. I think they're going to move right into the lane, into the Sanctuary and take this game. And ladies and gentlemen, we may have our new VISPRO winner, champion. You know, they've gone through everybody. There was no easy path to do it. They had to go through the juggernauts of Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid, and Truth and Lone Delphi have just showed the entire Vainglory community that they are the real deal. This team is legit. They are looking to claim it. And this is it, everybody. Nova Esports are the winner of Split 1 of the VISPRO spring season. And Team Solo Mid has fallen 3 games to none. As Edial looking to, you know, play a little bit more appropriately here, as we will be closing this game out, and that is 3 points. Congratulations, Nova. Congratulations. Unbelievable play across the board. They've won it. I have no words. I cannot believe they 3-0 Team Solo Mid.
I'm still in awe that they beat C9 so demandingly yesterday. Yes, C9 was able to pull that game 2 together, but game 1 and game 3 looked so convincing for Nova. And, you know, we can say all day that, you know, Flash isn't here and Gabe's not here, but one player doesn't necessarily make the whole team. We see Nova being all around a great team. So, you know, people can sit here and say that it's not full teams, but we're really going to see it when we come down to the Vainglory 8. And I think Nova is ready, whether Gabe or Flash are there or not. I think this is going to be a team to watch and is definitely going to be in the top 4 or 5 teams.
Well, there you have it. Congratulations. Nova Esports is the champion of the VISPRO Split 1, as they take it home, and in very stellar fashion. As you know, there's just nothing to say, man. That was absolutely dominant. 3-0ing Team Solo Mid, 2-1 in Cloud9. back to back. I mean, they had a very rough couple of days, and they found ways to make it work, and unbelievable. Like, just for all you guys watching, I mean, there's a lot to take in about, yes, well, how much do teams really want to show? You know, what are they going to do? This is the last update. You know, how much can they really prepare for this? And you're talking about a team that they've had no time to prepare for. They don't know how to play into this team. It's just obviously catching them all off guard.
Yeah, and especially with nothing to hide, you know, this is going to be our last tournament that is on 2.4. All these future events are going to be in 2.5, so there's no real comp you could really say anybody is hiding at this point.
That's absolutely correct. Congratulations again, Nova Esports. You are our 2017 spring winners, split 1. And definitely wear that one with honor because you guys deserved it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. That does conclude our entire split for this week. Tune in next week. We are actually coming back to you with split number 2. You guys are not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, we have more teams signing up this time. Hammers, I have got word, you know, they're looking to sign up. We might have Gangsters, who knows? Wink, wink. But we'll be having a lot of teams, all the top teams, of course, coming back here. VISPRO. It's where you can watch the pros play during the off season. Definitely not going to want to miss it. All right. With that, guys, Dave, thanks for joining me. This is going to be us signing off.
Thank you for having me, Dragonborn.
No problem.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.